This week on The Valley.
Okay.
Jason, let me say what I have to say. Jana, you have been a ass friend. You are a vibe killer. You're exhausting. You give Karen energy, and I'm done with it.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping The Valley Season 2, Episode 8. Let's get right into it. Okay, you guys, so this recap is a little late, but that's because Bravo switched the scheduling for The Valley because they have the new show, Next Generation NYC out, and it kind of just messed with my thing, so I saw it a little bit later than usual. But I will probably watch the new Gen Z show. If it's worth recapping, then maybe I'll make videos about it. But y'all in the comments, let me know if y'all watched and if y'all think I should cover it. But anyway, let's get started into this episode. Okay, so the episode begins. We see a get together happening at Scheana's house. Everybody's excited about her enchiladas. I'm sure they're like great value enchiladas rather than real enchiladas, but these people like it, so whatever. People are checking on Brittany. How is she doing? How is she feeling over Jax? And same old. So this is the day after Brittany's pool shark party. And they're talking about something that happened after filming Wrapped. The cameras had left. Everybody was still there. So Janet says, and listen, anytime Janet says anything about somebody or a situation, I just roll my eyes because I know she puts her Janet spin to it. But she says that Scheana was talking to Zach and that Zach told Scheana something bad about Jared. And Janet claims that it was so horrific that she can't even bear to repeat it. My first thought was, who the hell is Jared? Like, who is Jared? Why are we talking about Jared? I don't even know who Jared is. But I believe it's Janet's pink-booted friend from last year, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, one of Janet's friends. So then we then see Zach over at Kristen and Luke's house, and they're talking about this situation as well. So Zach definitely admits that, yeah, he said it. He said something bad about this Jared person. But what is bothering him is that in the moment when he said it, his supposed best friend, or who's supposed to be his best friend, Brittany, called him out in front of everyone. And she was like, why did you say that? That is not okay. And he's so upset about this. And I get it. Like, if you're my friend, why are you always siding with the people that I'm against? And, if I was out of line, why are you so willing to kind of embarrass me and call me out in front of everybody? Zach claims that he was using hyperbole. He thinks that people in this group might not know what that is. And to be honest, they might not, because this isn't necessarily the brightest group on TV. So I'll leave it at that. Zach says that his connection with Brittany is different, very different than it used to be, and he misses the old Brittany. But going back to Scheana's house, so Janet brings up this rumor that we heard last week that Kristen put out there, that Jasmine had told her that Jason took his wedding ring off when he goes out in public. Janet and Jason claim that this is ludicrous. Janet says that Kristen is great at creating distractions to distract from the truth. Sounds like Janet has a mirror right in front of her as she's saying that. And I told y'all, I don't feel bad for Janet at all. If Janet is capable of making accusations like the one that she made on Danny, then she's got to take it. Because if you live by the sword, you're going to die by it too. Now, here's the twist though. Don't forget, Jasmine is sort of in the middle of all of this. So Scheana says that Jasmine was actually invited today, but didn't go because of Janet. And Jason says that Jasmine is the one who made all of this up. Janet claims that when she first heard, the rumor at the pool party, she laughed it off. But once she got home and talked to her mom about it, it made her realize how bad this was. And then Jason and Janet must be the cringiest couple on this show. So he gets up and he says, unless Jasmine apologizes, we will not be moving forward. And then Janet says, yeah, and Kristen, she talked about my husband. You put a target on your back, bitch. I was like, oh, so Jasmine does that going for husbands is bad, but I guess it's rules for thee, not for me. Okay, so after this, we see the group hang out at the beach. I thought it was a really nice place to hang out. They're gonna like light a fire after the sunset. I don't live anywhere near a beach, so I'm definitely jealous. So Brittany's one of the first ones there, and one thing that we've definitely learned about Brittany this season is that not only is she a blabbermouth, but she also seems to be Janet's lapdog. Every little thing that anybody says, she goes back and reports to her. So she had a conversation with Jasmine the day before, and here goes Brittany telling Janet everything that Jasmine told her, which was basically that she wasn't going to apologize. So Kristen, Jasmine, and Luke arrive. Michelle and Aaron were there. By the way, Kristen is coming into this ready to go to war if she has to, because Sheena did tell her everything that Janet said at her house the other day. Jasmine feels a little bit awkward because when she did talk to Brittany, Brittany had told her that Janet was demanding an apology. But again, she said to Brittany that she wasn't going to give one to Janet. Lala and Sheena are also there. Brittany seems very happy, by the way, and that's because she's going to have a date night after this. Very excited. So Janet happened to bring a metal detector. And somebody asked, like, why did you even bring this? And Janet says, oh, there's a lot of metal here. I don't know, maybe Jason dropped his ring. So she's already starting with the passive-aggressive digs. Brittany then says, let's play truth or dare. And Jasmine tells Kristen, let's walk away for a second. And I would have walked away too, because this truth or dare was a little bit too inappropriate for me. Okay, listen, for me, it is one thing to be open, to be honest, to be transparent, to talk things with your friends. But I think some things are just taken to a whole other level. Maybe I'm extra, but I don't want to be in a group setting in public hearing about people detail that they've had anal sex. Okay, I just don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, I don't. So it's a little later. They've lit the fire up. Some s'mores are being made. But the energy, again, between Jasmine and Janet is bad. You could cut it. You could cut the tension. Janet is telling Jason, like, she's whispering to him. She's like, she needs to be the one to initiate the conversation. She's the one that hurt us. She's the one who's being a horrible friend. But eventually Jason does go up to Jasmine and says, Jasmine, do you have a minute to chat? So the three of them go to chat. Jasmine says, listen, the ring thing, I heard about it years ago. I didn't care then. I still don't care. Janet says, how many years ago was it? And Jasmine says, you're going to let me finish, Janet, because you're not going to cut me off, because that's what you do. And Janet's like, okay, we're done. Let's go. And Jasmine's like, let me finish. And Jason says to her, don't be so defensive. Jasmine says that she heard it from a group of people a couple of years ago, and she says that she doesn't believe it. But yeah, somewhere along the line, she brought it up. And Janet's the one that keeps saying to her, you brought it up. And Jasmine starts to get very mad because Janet is acting like, a little precious little girl. Like, I'm walking away. You brought it up to Kristen. You did this. So at a certain point, Jasmine just loses it after that. And she says, Janet, you're a crappy friend. You're a vibe killer. You're exhausting. You give Karen energy. And I'm done with it. We're done. And she walks away. Jason kept on going, though. He kept on being very antagonistic, and Jasmine's responding, and he says to Jasmine, I liked you, I defended you, you've broken my heart. He says to her, I can't believe that the biggest snake in the grass was right in front of us this whole time. She talked about me, you talked about me. Jasmine says, well, everybody talks about everybody. Jasmine also says, because at this point Jason and Janet are just gonna leave the beach, Jasmine says, also go talk to your boys because they're the ones that brought it up in the first place. They don't even like you. Oof, it was a lot. Emotions were high. And I know I've been teasing him, but could it be true that Jason is hurt by Jasmine? Sure. I do think that he could, but I do feel like Jasmine's reaction was a breaking point. Not so much with Jason, but with Janet. And you can tell that there's been a lot of things brewing with Jasmine and Janet, and it finally just spilled over. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the fact that Jasmine did say that some friends of Jason's were the ones who started this. So with that, and then onto the fact that Jason doesn't see any problem with what Janet does, it makes me wonder if maybe some of the people who don't like Jason don't like him because of his wife. Okay, so now it is the next day, and my faves, Nia, Zach, and Kristen, join Brittany for lunch. Brittany talks about her date. She says that he's great, very sweet guy, motivated, he's a great dad too. She blushes a lot while she's talking about him, so I'm sure she really does like him. Brittany and Kristen then bring up what happened at the beach yesterday. Zach wasn't there, but his opinion is that it makes no sense why Janet and Jason were like laughing about it at the party, but then there was like some big switch and Kristen's like, yeah, like them bringing it up again, like it just makes me question things. So speaking of Janet, Zach sort of pivots to tell Brittany that, she in the past has covered a lot for Jax's bad behavior, and now she's covering a lot for Janet. But now when it comes to him, Brittany just flips out on him when he does something that she doesn't agree with or like, and he says, me and Kristen are your top tier friends. Janet and Jared are those like at the back of the bus. And Brittany pretty much says, well, I'm the same with all my friends. So it's kind of hard to have a conversation. I feel like Zach isn't really being heard because Brittany kind of just dismisses it, and she just wants to say, well, I'm a good friend to everybody. So I feel bad for Zach. Brittany doesn't seem to know it is Janet's problematic behavior, and that's a problem. So that was that. We then see a nice scene with Danny and Nia, just them as a couple, where they go get some massages and they talk about some important things like having their baby and moving to a new house and all that. It looked like they really needed those massages. They looked really relaxed as well. Then we see Jasmine and Jason, and they're with their beautiful baby, but then Janet starts to cry. She says that she feels like she's been dumped. She says that she's so hurt. Okay, maybe she is, but I will say Janet is making it sound like Jasmine did some unforgivable, horrible sin. Like, I don't want to be dismissive of other people's feelings, but it's not that serious. Jason then decides to return a phone call to Jax. So they're FaceTiming. Jax says that he's good. He says that he's tired of anger. He says that he lost it when he found out that Brittany slept with his friend. But what he now realizes is that he pushed her away from him for a while. He says that being here is a wake-up call. I want to break the cycle. And he's crying. And he says, I'm glad that I'm finally able to realize it. And I actually wish that Brittany would have left me a long time ago, because maybe that would have made me get my stuff together sooner. And it sounds pretty good what he's saying. And Jason says, well, I think a great step moving forward is maybe getting that mortgage taken care of. And Jax says that he doesn't really have the funds right now, but what he's going to do is that he's going to make sure that all the money that him and Brittany make from their podcast, it'll go just to Brittany, and then he'll try to figure it out with the mortgage. And Jason says, wow, like this is the first time I've ever heard you take full accountability and not blame anyone. So that was good. But I guess that only lasted for a few minutes, because the very next scene is Brittany in her house. She's FaceTiming Jax's sister Jenny. Brittany is letting her know that he hasn't paid the mortgage, that she can't find her wedding ring or bands. They're missing. They're not in the safe. She doesn't understand what's going on. And then all of a sudden, a producer approaches Brittany to tell her that she literally just got a text from Jax where he is telling this producer, make sure you get this on film because I can hear all her childish behavior. So Brittany's like, what? Like, does he have did he bug the house? Is there a recording device somewhere around here? Because, like, the cameras that are indoors don't have sound. So how is he listening to this? Jenny then says that she's getting a call from Jax. So she hangs up the phone with Brittany, answers Jax, then calls Brittany again to tell her that Jax just told her that he's on his way to the hospital because his blood pressure is too high. Then apparently after this, Brittany gets an email from Jax where he's telling her that the house is in foreclosure and he will not be responsible for it anymore. It will not be Brittany. And that was the end of the episode. Whew. Dang, this was a crazy episode. This last scenes with Jax and Brittany, listen, I don't know what. These people are so toxic. Jax, he really needs. I just can't believe he's acting like this as a grown-ass adult, almost getting ready to be 50 soon. And it's just kind of sad that you can be so old and be so immature and not have your life together. And I would just hate to be in a situation anywhere near like this. It would just be so exhausting. When it comes to Janet, you guys, tired of Janet. I'm not on her side. And what you give is what you get. So yeah, y'all let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. You guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Let me know your thoughts. Until the next one, Bye.